States with the most millionaires per capita. The United States of America is home of many of the richest businessmen in the entire world. As the country was founded on capitalism, it should come as no surprise that there are millions of wealthy entrepreneurs living inside of its borders. So where do all the millionaires live? And why do they choose that state to reside? Could it be for lower taxes? Maybe a lower cost of living? Or maybe another reason entirely? When thinking of states with wealthy residents, often the first area that comes to mind will be California, because of the entertainment industry there, or the Silicon Valley tech giants calling it home. Maybe you think of New York City and its Wall Street stock trading business. Well, you may be surprised to know that the state of New York doesn't even rank in the top 10. It is important to note that this list was based on the percentage of millionaire households to the total number of households within each state. Otherwise, yes, New York would have made it on the list. You caught me. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting top 10 lists. So buckle up, grab some popcorn if you're into that, and prepare your mind as we take you through the top 10 states with the most millionaires per capita. Number 10. Alaska. Alaska is well known for its beautiful rural landscape and large variety of wildlife. So it may come as a surprise to you that Alaska ranks in the top 10 states with the most millionaires. The state has one of the strongest oil industries in the country, which largely contributes to the wealth of the residents. In fact, out of 276,000 households, roughly 22,500 of them can claim millionaire status. The state's capital, Juneau, comes in as the third city in the country with the highest concentration of millionaires. However, a downside to all this wealth within the state is that the cost of living is much higher than the other states that are part of the US. When compared to the national average, Alaska is 24% over the cost of living. On top of all this, Alaskans are even paid to reside in the last frontier. Just last year, the dividend given to the state's residents was $1,600, which was actually lower than 2015's dividend of $2,000. So if you like cold weather, a month-long daylight, and are a supporter of Andrew Yang, Alaska might be the place for you. Number 9. Virginia. Stretching from the Chesapeake Bay area all the way inland to the Appalachian Mountains, the state of Virginia draws in many millionaire residents. This is likely due to its close proximity to Washington, D.C., which brings in many people looking for high-paying, politics-related jobs. It's also worth mentioning that Virginia's D.C. suburbs have much higher cost of living than most other states throughout the country. This is in stark contrast with the rest of the state, where the cost of living is just at 2% higher than the national average. Out of roughly 3 million households, 272,000 of them are millionaires, meaning 8.31% of the state is very wealthy. As of right now, the state's wealthiest resident is Jacqueline Mars, founder of Mars Candy Incorporated. She has a net worth of $27.4 billion. Yes, that's billion, with a B. Number 8. New Hampshire. Often called the Granite State, New Hampshire is well known for its quaint towns and rolling wilderness. However, not many people know that it's also home to a plethora of millionaires. This could be in part to its relatively lenient tax policies. On top of having a limited income tax, the state has absolutely no sales tax. 2 of the cities within the province account for most of the millionaires in the state, the first being Concord, likely because of the numerous state, local, and federal agencies employing many of its residents. The second being Laconia, because of the tourism the city brings in with the numerous lakes surrounding it. Out of the 540,000 households, 46,000 of them are millionaires. Though the total population numbers are much lower than some of the other states in the list, the percentage of millionaires is very high, at 8.47% of households. Number 7. California. The state of California should come as no surprise for making it onto the list. However, you may have expected it to rank higher on the list due to its concentration of movie stars, musicians, YouTubers, and Silicon Valley tech giants. While the Golden State is home to the highest number of millionaires in the entire country, that's because its population is so high. The non-millionaires in Cali represent 91.49% of the population, while the people with 7 figures and up only represent 8.51%, which is a measly 0.04% higher than New Hampshire. Even so, the high amount of millionaires within the state make the cost of living 24.7% higher than the national average. The highest concentration of them being in, of course, the Los Angeles Long Beach region, Napa, San Francisco, San Jose, and Oxnard. Number 6. The District of Columbia. While technically the District of Columbia is not a state, the DC area has one of the highest concentrations of millionaires. However, this concentration of wealth does not come without its faults. The cost of living in the area is 48% higher than the national average, while mortgage and rent rates are almost triple. Out of 330,000 households, 30,000 of them claim millionaire status, meaning 9% of Washington, D.C.'s population are wealthy. This is likely due to the fact that the area serves as a kind of magnet to the highly educated who come here looking for high-paying federal jobs. Unlike many of the other states in this list, though, the District of Columbia has a very high income tax that most millionaires seem to avoid. With that in mind, it's no surprise that many of them choose to relocate to a state like Virginia with a lower tax rate. At number 5, Hawaii. Hawaii is seen by many as a paradise, so it should be no surprise that it attracts a wealthy crowd looking to live out the rest of their days in the Aloha State. In fact, the founder of eBay is the state's wealthiest resident, with a reported net worth of $15.3 billion. That's a few more zeros than a million. Of the 482,000 households, 9.2% of them are millionaires, meaning 44,000 households are very wealthy. The average price of a home in the tropical paradise is around $630,000. Due to the number of millionaires and the remoteness of the area, the cost of living is 23.3% higher than the national average. But I can totally see why. I mean, would you rather live in Washington, D.C. or Hawaii? The state is not afraid to tax its wealthier residents either. The top tax bracket receives an 11% tax on income. The state does at least try to make up for this hike by having the lowest property tax in all of the U.S. Number 4. Massachusetts. Sometimes nicknamed Taxachusetts, the state of Massachusetts is home to 250,000 millionaire households. They make up the 9.38% of the 2.7 million total households. Though the state has a higher percentage of millionaires than Hawaii, the median house value sits at over $400,000, over $200,000 less than the tropical paradise. The cost of living is also lower than that of Hawaii, even if it's just by a fraction. Residents of the Bay State paid 22% higher rates than the national average. The higher cost of living is due to the substantial amount of historical sites, tech companies, and universities within the state. Of course, the town of Boston has the highest concentration of millionaires as well. The history of the area draws in large crowds of tourists, as well as the sports fans wanting to see the infamous Boston Red Sox, or people trying to get a job at Barstool Sports. Well, until they move their headquarters to New York City. Number 3. Connecticut. The state of Connecticut is home to many millionaires because of its close proximity to the business of New York, while sparing its residents of the Big Apple's high tax rates. Although Connecticut residents do catch a break from New York's reasonably high tax rates, the area still has a higher tax rate than the national average. Out of the 1.3 million households in the state, 130,000 of them claim millionaire status. In fact, in the southwest corner of the state houses many of America's biggest corporations, such as Nestle, CVS, GE, Marriott Hotels, and many more. The cost of living sits around 19% higher than the national average, though it's nowhere near the 48% increase that residents of DC have to deal with. In second place, we have Maryland. Sitting on the border of the District of Columbia and Virginia, Maryland can also thank the DC area for its second highest concentration of millionaires in the nation. However, the California Lexington Park area's amount of millionaires gives it a boost of 6 rankings over Virginia. 9.72% of Maryland's 2.2 million households claim millionaire status, a number that's been steadily growing since last year. In fact, last year's Maryland was in 4th place, bumping up 2 rankings in a single year. The cost of living within the state is higher than average, but in the grand scheme of this list, it's relatively lower than most of the other entries. It costs only 18.8% more than the national average to live inside of the Old Line State, which is not bad for the abundance of wealth that resides inside these state lines. And finally, at number 1, we have New Jersey. New Jersey has been in first place of states with the most millionaires per capita for 2 years now. Of course, this can be chalked up to its close proximity to New York City, but the southern state capital of Trenton actually has the highest concentration of millionaires within the entire state, and Trenton is an hour and a half away from New York City. Almost 10% of New Jersey's 3 million claim millionaire status, likely due to the very lenient income tax policy. However, New Jersey makes up for this leniency by upping the property taxes to the highest in the entire country. New Jersey was also once known for having a very low gas tax, which they have raised in recent years. New Jersey is also one of the only states where you cannot pump your own gas, so make sure you have a tip ready if you ever get fuel in the state. You don't have to tip gas station workers. Even though New Jersey has the highest concentration of millionaires within its borders, it does not sacrifice the cost of living nearly as much as other places like California or the District of Columbia. While it's still above average by 13.4%, that's the lowest percentage out of any other state on this list. And with a close proximity to NYC and Philly, it seems like a pretty good state to call home. Were you at all surprised by any of the entries on this list? Did we mention your state in this video? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.